Hi, my name is Meg and welcome back to my channel. So excited to share with you my top 5 favorite books that I read in 2020. So for the past couple years I've been doing some reading challenges, which I really enjoy because it pushes me and challenges me to read. It's just something that helps my mental health and it helps me spiritually, and it just challenges my mind as well, which I find to be really important. So in 2020 I tried to read 20 books. That was my challenge, which was really big for me. I finished 2020 by reading 30 books, which is absolutely crazy. I never would have thought I would have been able to get to 30 books. I didn't even think I was going to get to 20 books. When I read a book, I define it like as good as it can be if I will keep it and read it again. It's a running joke in my family that I am the type of person who buys a book, reads it once, gets rid of it. This is just because if I'm not going to read a book again, I don't want to keep it. There were about, I think, 8 books that I kept this year, but I wanted to share my top 5 with you guys. Maybe you're also a reader like me and you're looking for some good reads for 2021. My goal for this year is to read 30 books. Which I think will be a challenge because even though I read 30 books last year, I had a lot of downtime because of quarantine, so I'm hoping this year I can still push through and read 30 books. So the first book I want to talk about is called Fearless in 21 Days, and it's by Sarah E. Ball. This book is so wonderful. I read it at the very beginning of this year. It's set up sort of like a devotional. It has 21 days, like it says in the title, and it's all about mental health, anxiety. She talks about her walk with struggling with OCD. I can't remember if she talks about depression or not. She might touch on it. The chapters are really short and it's also very practical. She does such a good job of talking about holistic health, which I think is really important. It was a really wonderful read. I loved it and 100% would recommend. The second book I want to talk about is called The Common Rule, and it's by Justin Whitman Early. I feel like there's sort of this genre that's been really popular in Christian literature, and I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it's kind of like, you could classify this book maybe in the same area as The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry or To Hell with the Hustle by Jefferson Bethke. It's very similar to that sort of simple living, bringing everything down to just these simple foundations, and that's what this book is about. So he splits it into 2 sections. He talks about daily habits and he talks about weekly habits. So in daily habits he talks about prayer, getting in the word, and then in weekly habits he talks about keeping a Sabbath and the importance of rest, curating your media time, and things like that. And it was just so good. The thing that I love about this book that I think sets it apart from things like The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry and To Hell with the Hustle, because I've read both of those books and I enjoyed them as well, but this book I think goes above and beyond because he's just so gracious, with his tone and the way that he just talks about these spiritual truths. It's so powerful. He does a really good job about talking about boundaries, but not making it just a list of rules. And he just has a very gracious tone, and it's just very loving and biblically based. The third book I want to talk about is called Unoffendable, and it's by Brant Hansen. Brant Hansen is a radio host. I'm not sure if he is still to this day. My family and I loved to listen to Brant Hansen. We'd always talk about him. He has this really interesting love for toast, and it's just, he's hilarious. He talks about the idea of righteous anger and is that biblical, and he brings up a lot of really big questions about is it a right to be offended. It just gave me a lot more compassion for people who have different beliefs than me, and really learn to listen to people and be open-minded and not just be so closed off. It was a challenging read, but it was so good, and because he is so hilarious, it was a fun read and I really enjoyed it. It was pretty quick, really easy to read, but I feel like this book is timeless. It's just so powerful. So the next book I want to talk about is actually one that is just, all these books are so special to me and I love them so much, but this one really touched my heart this year. It's called Friendish by Kelly Needham. This book is incredible. It's all about friendship. It's all about godly friendship, strong friendships. It's one of the best books I have ever read, and I would recommend, if I could have a top 10 list of books that every Christian should read, this would be one of them because it was so powerful and impactful. She talks a lot about like friendships and what it looks like to be a servant in your friendships, and what does it look like to selflessly love other people. In reading it, it was very challenging and convicting, but I didn't feel guilt or shame when I read it, which was super important to me. Friendship isn't really talked about a lot in the church, and so I think this book is a really great opportunity to talk about hard things with your friends and just to like really get into the deep stuff and the deep like topics with your friends. It was excellent. I need to buy a hard copy because I read it on my Kindle, and all the books that I love, I always just want to have a hard copy because something about that just makes me feel so happy inside. I know that I said that book was really near and dear to my heart, but this one also is. The fifth book I want to talk about is an absolutely timeless book. It's so beautiful. It's The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom. If you don't know who Corrie ten Boom is, she was someone who lived during World War II. She lived in Holland, and she lived with her family, and her father was a watchmaker. But during World War II, her and her family started hiding Jewish people in their home. She was very involved in like helping rescue Jewish people and get them to safe homes so that they weren't killed or taken to concentration camps. The authorities find out she's taken to a concentration, well, I think she goes to jail first, and then she goes to another jail, and then she goes to a concentration camp. And it's just all about her story and her family and just the way that God like intervened in her story and his faithfulness and goodness, and it's just such a good book and I absolutely loved it. I'm hoping that I can read it at least like maybe once a year because it's just such a powerful story. So before I go, I would love to hear your guys' reading challenges for this year. Like I said, I'm planning to read 30 books this year, and if you would like to keep up with me on my reading journey, you can also follow me on Goodreads. That's where I track all my reading challenges. Hoping to post more content in the near future. If you would like to keep in touch with me, my Instagram will be linked down below, as well as my email. I would put other social media, but Instagram is the main one that I am present on. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.